Hi, everybody.
Hey, welcome to More Than Money. I'm Mark Manella.
Stephen Balance.
And we're glad you're joining us today. Got a short little story here I'd like to share. And to start off the top with, think about this. One time, a long time ago, I was playing music for a living. That's what I did. I was a rock and roller, believe it or not. And, we had this gentleman who was our stagehand. So what he did was he helped set up and he helped load up, roadie.
Okay.
But right in the middle of one of our sessions, we're playing and my guitar goes out. And all of a sudden he comes crawling across the stage, unplugs my guitar, and puts another one around my neck and plugs in a new guitar. Wow. And I just continue on the song.
Wow.
It's like pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of lessons from this, but I'm not sure if I want to share all of them. But one of them is this gentleman would have been considered, I don't know, the least of the band.
Okay.
Probably if he made anything, he made very little financially from it. Nobody knew his name. He wasn't getting fame and fortune. He wasn't the most glamorous, at least from the outside. But without him, that concert that night would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
A small little thing, but an intricate thing, something very important, a person or a system or something like that. And that brings us to our topic today.
Small people?
No, savings.
Okay.
A lot of people just kind of think of savings as something you do because you want to put money away and stuff. They don't think of it as a very intricate, important part of their finances, of their stewardship. And that's really scary because just like a guitar cable or anything like that, having somebody there, having a system in place to take care of those things keeps everything else running. I think of things like my son when he was in the Pinewood Derby. There was some kids who didn't have any lubricant, graphite, for their wheels. They always lost. Just a little graphite on the wheels caused the cars to go so much faster. Something so small as that. And it changed the difference in the times of my son, so we lubricated after every run,
Wow.
So anyway, what I'm saying is savings is so very important, or can be so very important. Let me give you an example. Number one reason why people go into debt and eventually get over their head in debt, not having any savings to take care of those occasional or unexpected expenses. So when they come, I'll charge those tires on my credit card because we don't have any money in savings for them. And then the tires are there, and we can afford the payment, but then the water heater goes out, so we charge that. And then the air conditioner goes out, so you charge that. And all of a sudden, all these little bills that you could afford now become so overwhelming, and they're eating away at your lifestyle because you don't have enough money to continue the same lifestyle you're in because you're transferring money to the slave driver. I mean the credit card, the MasterCards, the masters of the cards, and now your lifestyle's being eroded away, and you don't have any money to invest because your future's being eroded away because of the interest expense. So something as small as savings needs to be an intricate and purposeful part of your stewardship plan.
Now, let me clarify for everyone watching. We didn't just pick a random subject. If we did, personally,
there's one.
So yeah, we didn't pick just something random that we wanted to talk to you about. It's all part of something much bigger. It's actually part of our Stewardship Series.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And savings is only one of four.
Right.
That we're talking about? One of four steward...
As you can see up here, we divided it up into four areas. Of course, there's the acquiring, that's part of the stewardship. The giving, which a lot of people don't think that stewardship is all about.
Yeah.
Saving, and then there's also spending. Those four areas make up... Every aspect of stewardship can fall into one of those four areas. And today, we're talking about savings.
Spending's my favorite. I can't wait till that
one. Okay, well, we'll get there soon enough. But today we are talking about savings as an intricate part.
Yeah. I think one of the big things, like you said earlier, I would not have considered saving to be a part of stewardship. I would have almost considered it maybe something in the background, a byproduct. Maybe if I had enough after my stewardship, then I get to save a little bit.
Right. You know, that's the whole idea. A lot of people think of stewardship as something outside of themselves, as separate from themselves, as separate from giving, or, giving is stewardship, or they don't think about how they earn money as part of their stewardship. In fact, most people separate themselves from the concept of stewardship. Stewardship is something we do outside of ourselves. But the reality is, we are part of stewardship.
Okay.
Think about this. God created all the universe. He owns it, including you and me.
Okay.
Including
that
you.
Makes sense.
He created you. He owns you. But he owns you twice if you're a believer, because he paid with blood, the son of his son's blood for you to redeem you back to him. So we are part of the stewardship economy, or the stewardship, everything. Everything is stewardship, and stewardship is you. You can't separate yourself from it.
Okay.
We're kind of talking about that from, the idea of oftentimes naturalists or people who love the outdoors. They separate humanity from the rest of nature. They say, humans are encroaching on nature. Humans are destroying natural habitat. Humans are are doing all these things. Now, it's really funny, because if a beaver chops down all these trees and builds a dam with it and changes the flow of the water and kills off certain species because the water's deeper instead of flowing, and all this kind of thing, that's natural. But if a man does it, it's not. And the reason they think that way is they separate themselves from the all of nature, when in reality, God created us as well as everything else. We are part of nature. I'm not saying that we're not different, but we are part of the universe, which is naturally created by God.
So it almost seems like they're trying to separate themselves from the responsibility.
Right, exactly. Well, they want to blame themselves instead of seeing themselves as part of nature.
Okay.
And we do that with stewardship. We separate ourselves out of the stewardship. We don't see ourselves as stewardship. So stewardship is something we do, but it's not something we are. But in reality, when God created the universe, he also created the rules of money, the rules of, all the rules of the universe, any type of rule, thermodynamics. He created that. He created how the universe works. He created how relationships work. He created how money works. And because of that, we are part of the economy of stewardship, and we shouldn't divide ourselves. And with that in mind, we need to think about savings as part of that. Because even though it seems like a small thing, it's something you do if you got a little money left over, it's something you do for a vacation or something, it's more than that. It's intricate to making all aspects of your finances work better and more enjoyably, and takes less stress off of you and takes all that away. We call it here at More Than Money, we use the concepts that were developed through the Debt Slayer Institute, which I started a long time ago. We call it building a moat around your castle.
I like that.
Okay, think about it. Why did they have moats back in the days of castles?
Protect themselves. They liked alligators.
That they didn't like alligators. It's right. It's to protect themselves. Think about this. If you had a moat around your house right now, and a thief was coming down the road, and he sees these 4 houses, all of them exactly the same, except for one had a 20-foot deep moat with alligators in it, what do you think would be the last house he'd try to steal a TV from, or a stereo, or break into?
Yeah.
It'd be the one with the moat. Well, you're saying, Mark, what's this have to do with savings? Well, the moat really is savings, and please forgive the pun, but it's liquidity. And that liquidity is there to protect you from the credit thieves, the credit card companies, having to go into debt because you don't have the money to take care of those occasional expenses or those unexpected expenses. And when I say occasional expenses, I mean those things that happen less frequently than monthly. Things like, tires on the car repairs, home repairs, fixing the refrigerator or fixing the air conditioner or things like that. Even vacations, things like that. How about Christmas as one of those occasional expenses? Most people do not prepare for Christmas, and they run up the credit cards, and they're in this constant loop of keeping an average balance on a credit card from Christmas to Christmas. Just about the time they get it paid down, they run it back up. All this is transferring a lot of wealth due to interest expenses and stuff to that, which erodes away the lifestyle and the future lifestyle. But if you create a purposeful savings plan, an intricate savings plan, something that is all-encompassing, then what you have is two different parts of this, at least two different parts to the saving plan. One for occasional expenses,
Okay.
and one for the unexpected.
There's more of those, it seems.
Unexpected?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's amazing, though, once you do the occasional expenses, a lot of the unexpected goes away. Because you start realizing that wasn't really unexpected, it was just unplanned for.
I see.
Everybody knows their car's going to need repairs every year. Everybody knows that the roof needs to be replaced every 15 to 20 years. Everybody knows that the furnace is going to go out after so long, or on average after so long. Everybody knows these things are, but they don't prepare for them. So in the occasional expense, what you do is you make a list of all those things that you pay less frequently than monthly every year. Now, you're not going to know exactly, but you can do a little research, like for an automobile. If you have a 10-year-old automobile, you're going to need somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 a year for repairs. If you have a 5-year-old, you may need maybe $500, or less. But you can look up those kind of things. How long have you had your furnace? How long have you had your roof? And prorate that and bring it into it. What about medical? Well, you can say, we never know what medical is. Well, kind of you do. What is your deductible if you have insurance? That is one of those things you should have set aside, whether in your occasional expense account or in a healthcare savings account. What about Christmas? What about birthdays? See, a lot of people never think about that. And different times of your age, there's different things. For example, my kids, they just went through the 28 to 30, 32-year range. I know that sounds wide, but during that time, there's gobs of weddings.
Oh, yeah.
And all this money went out for weddings, and every time there was a wedding, you hear, my gosh, I can't believe how much I got to buy this tux, I got to do this, I got to go there, I got to, all these different things. Well, those things can be planned for. And somebody's going, oh, you're such a stickler, Manella. But no, I'm not. I'm just saying it gets easier. What if you could create a system that automated all that for you, that made it all possible and took less stress, less anxiety. And then when something went wrong, the car broke down, you go and have it repaired, you take the money out of the savings and you pay it. And since you have a systematic plan for putting 1/12 of those occasional expenses in a savings account every month, when those things happen, the money is there. And it's replenishing, kind of like a well for the moat.
Okay.
So your moat is constantly replenishing itself, so that as monies are coming out for those occasional expenses, money's also going in to replenish it for the next time something like that happens.
So, talking about savings and planning and probably overwhelming everyone who's watching. So, getting together something like this, is that something we can just find online? Is that something
what? It was developed through the Debt Slayer Institute, but we can help you with that. If you'd like to figure out how to create a savings plan, one that is fully comprehensible, we can give you the forms and we can walk you through it. And there's no cost to that. All you have to do is contact us at More Than Money or at Integrity Investors or at wherever you want.
We're all over the place.
Call his cell phone. His number is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can go online to More Than Money and get our contact information, or you can email us at.
You can email at us at contact@mtmministry.com. And if you need to, you can even call up here if you'd like.
Sure.
314-212-1405.
There you go.
And we'd be more than happy to help.
Yeah, and no cost for that. Also, the second part of the savings is the unexpected. So how do you plan for the unexpected? Well, you can't really fully plan, but you can partially plan. Okay. And that's where the second part of the moat comes in. This is the depth of the moat. And this is money that may not ever get used. Hopefully it won't. But this is where you say, I have this job. If I lost my job, it would take me 2, 3, 4 months maybe to find a job. So what you're going to want to do is start put money away so you can create or start developing a buffer zone or a moat to cover that expense if it happens. Now, this part of the savings doesn't have to be as liquid as the occasional expense. This could be something in a Roth IRA, for example, or it might be cash value in a life insurance, or it might be in CDs or something fairly safe, because you don't want this part of the moat, losing 50% because the stock market crashes. But you would start building this over time so that you have 3 to 6 months worth of overhead. Overhead meaning what it costs for you to maintain your lifestyle for 3 to 6 months. And I call the deep part because the top part's going to keep going up and down. But once you get this filled up, you kind of want to just leave it alone then. And it may grow and stuff, but the occasional expense will go up and down based on the expenses, but your this part of the buffer zone, the unexpected buffer, would actually just maintain itself or grow and hopefully never get used until you retire or until God says, hey, that person across the street who lost their job, they could use some help. You can even tap into your moat for them at that point. And that brings us to the final part about savings, as well as in any part of being shrewd with your money and being a great steward. And that is the hard issue. It all comes down to realizing you're part of that ecosystem of God's money, God's finances, God's creation. You're part of it, and you should be following him. It never comes down to you deciding that God's not smart enough, or me deciding that God's not smart enough, so I'm going to do a plan that only takes care of Mark. That's not the Christian way. That is not God's desire for us. Everything we do should be based in love and honor to God. Stewardship is the idea.
Stewarding God's resources for God's glory.
Exactly. And part of that is to not hold on too tightly, which means that if we have the savings going and somebody's life depended on it and God put them in your path, shouldn't you be ready to let go of that and take the risk to trusting God that he'll cover you in the meantime? Is it possible that he wants you to create this buffer zone for more than just yourself? The key is to hold on loosely with love and realize that God's got this. Do the best you can with what he's given you to his glory, and realize God's got this. And if he puts somebody in your path that needs help with their car repair because they never built a buffer zone, maybe you can not only share some of the financial resources with that person, but also some of the wisdom you possibly heard here.
Yeah. I think, to touch on that, I think one of the biggest things is everything that comes into our possession, we immediately think is ours. It's funny, like at a birthday party, someone could give you a gift, and the second you touch it and open it, it's yours, and you don't want anyone else touching it. You don't want to share, but you just got it. So it's that idea of everything that is given to you is a blessing. It's not, it's something from God. It's not something you made. It's not something you individually created out of dust and dirt.
He sets the kings on the thrones and removes them. He decides no matter how hard you work, God decides the cap on that, or how high he'll take you up. We do get to participate. Think about that ownership situation. Think about this. Adam and Eve were placed in the garden to tend to it. And I believe in Proverbs it says, and keep it. Meaning keep it up and stuff. That didn't mean they toiled there and then they went out to the desert and slept every night.
Okay.
They got to enjoy the garden. They lived in the garden. They walked with God in the garden. They enjoyed the flowers and the fruits. Too many of the fruits. But they enjoyed them all. They got to participate in the great economy of God and the nature of God as being part of it. You see, we should be doing the same with our finances. None of the garden was Adam and Eve's. They just got to participate in it. None of this money is yours. It's God's. None of the assets you have are yours. They're God's. You get to participate in them. You get to use them not only for yourself, but to glorify God by the way you help others, but also for yourself. You get to smell the roses and enjoy the economies of God in your life as well.
So that would almost make the difference, I would say, between saving and hoarding.
Well, that's exactly, because hoarding is when you think it's yours.
Yeah.
And you don't trust God enough to realize that He can refill your storehouse. He can refill your moat in a blink of an eye, if He so desires, and He can empty it in a blink of an eye. It's not trusting God for your provision. It's trusting in yourself, and that alone should cause much fear.
Yeah.
And hoarding.
Yeah.
But when you learn to trust God, you hold on loosely, knowing that you can use it for you, your family, and others God brings into your path. And that if you utilize all the talents and gifts and abilities He's given you to realize the fullness of Christ, you'll be exactly where you need to be closest to God, the creator and provider of everything good in your life. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
I think that'll help you realize that life is
so much more
than money. God bless everyone.
All right. We'll see you next week.